All right, Charlie Vann here with UFC Bantamweight Adrian Yanez, making your return to the podcast. How are you, man? And thank you for coming back on.
Oh man, I'm doing great, man, and it's my pleasure, man. It's my pleasure to be back on, man.
And a couple of weeks ago here in Texas, we were affected by a winter storm. How did it affect you? Did you lose any power there in Houston?
Oh man, actually, we were pretty blessed to keep both our water and our electricity during this time. So we we were pretty blessed in in that sense. I know family who had their electricity shut off, who had their water shut off and everything, but we were blessed and really fortunate. The only thing was that the gyms kind of closed down, so we weren't able to do much of that. But what can you do? It was a freeze. Texas wasn't ready for it,
Oh.
so it's just one of those things.
Did it impact your training at all for this upcoming fight on the 20th? Did you have to adapt a little bit?
Yeah, we had to adapt. Actually, like my mom works at a hotel, so pretty much what we did is we snuck into the hotel, used their treadmill, so I was able to use the treadmill. And my brother, he trained a little bit. He trained a little bit, so he knows how to hold mitts. So I was able to do mitts with my brother and everything. So we were able to make do with what we had. So I was still training, but also it wasn't intense. It wasn't
Yeah.
super intense like how it needed to be, but also it was
Mhm.
kind of a blessing in disguise because it helped me like recover from the weeks of hard training that I was doing. So it was like a little bit
Mhm.
of a blessing and a curse. So cursed with like everything that went on, it was terrible. Blessing, I was able to still get some work in and also like actually recover from all my training. So it was good. It was good. Again, it worked out for me. But still praying for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, yeah. And when do you like to kind of like dial back right before that week of the fight?
Well, since this is like my first like training camp, like being able to train like full time, so it's always been for me just go time all the time. I
Mhm.
never really got the chance to dial back because I was working a full time job, and I was
Oh, that's right. You just left that full-time job, correct?
yeah. So like I really didn't know how to handle any of the situation. So to me, now like I was barely getting back into like training full time, and I was like, oh okay, like I gotta know when to dial it back. I gotta like because like the biggest thing like surrounding me during this time has been like I need to get more into it with my body. I need to make sure I'm getting the right stuff in. Need to make sure that I'm getting the right amount of rest. My sleep is the most important thing, and I just needed to make sure that my body was good to go. So that was the biggest part of like this training camp. So that week was like perfectly set up for me to just kind of like, all right, cool. There was a good taper off. Now I get to explode just a little bit more. So it was a blessing in disguise for me.
Did you get when you were working, did you get a chance to like add in your meals during the day, or was it a little bit harder because of your work schedule?
Man, I was able to do like at least eat 4 times a day. So
Hmm.
I was able to get a breakfast, I was able to get the lunch, and I was able to get my little snack in, and then after that, dinner. So and it's always kind of been like that. Like I know for me, like everybody's like, oh, everybody needs to do this intermittent fasting stuff. It's best for training and this and that. Like you try not to eat late. There's like a lot of things that people try and be like, oh well, you need to implement this into your stuff. It's like, well, that'd be cool, but like my schedule, I I can't do that off my schedule. I was like, I can't. I was like, I intermittent fast, and
Yeah.
next and you tell me that I can't eat certain pass of time. I'm like, man, I'm gonna be dead for the next couple of days, man. I'm only gonna eat twice, and if I try to eat anything, it's gonna have to be like two big like bowls of pasta. Yeah, nah, it's not gonna happen for me. So just to be able to get my caloric intake and everything, so it's so like my situation was like very different and all that. So it was it was weird. It was weird just like whenever I from going to work to not having to work. So it was like a weird transition because I was getting up every day just like thinking I was like, man, like I'm getting up, like I got a job, but I don't have a job. My job is to train full time, but my training doesn't start till like 10 o'clock. So, what do I do in this meantime?
What do you do in that meantime? Are you an early bird, or do you like to kind of take advantage of that before you have to go to the gym?
Man, it's been one of those things for me that like I just been like I used to have to get up at 6:30, and at
Mm.
at one point I was actually getting up at 5:30, but now it's like with a lot of things, like I was getting up at 6:30. Now I'm a little bit more laid back, able to sleep in till 7, eat breakfast at 7, kind of just slowly get my day going.
Yeah.
Just because I'm able to have that little bit of time. But it's just more me just starting to slowly wrap my day up and then being able to go full blast and everything. Because as soon as training starts at 10, like it's training time. So I had to like kind of edge myself up, especially on those harder mornings, man. Because I thought the mornings were gonna be like, all right, cool. We're gonna go a little bit lighter. We're gonna go a little bit lighter since we got 2 training sessions. Nope, nope, it's just as hard.
Different kind of breakfast club.
Oh yeah, man.
Breakfast
But
fight club.
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. Well, real quick before we get into your fight with Gustavo, how's Mike Seafood doing? Speaking of Houston.
Oh man, Mike Seafood, man, that's oh man, I can't wait till I land back on March 21st and being able to go to Mike Seafood, man, because I can't wait to go back. I absolutely can't wait. That's one place that I've been dying to go, but I can't go, but I really want to.
I've started bringing up since you're so close to the whole weight cut, but I had to just see how they were doing because just everything going on. I
Oh
know you
yeah, he
like
got
that
two.
bacon wrapped shrimp.
Oh yeah, he got 2 locations. So man, I'm gonna go to the one that's closer to me. It's still
But
like about 30 minutes to an hour away to me. So either way.
can he give you anything portable that you can take with you to Vegas that you can hold over in a fridge?
Oh man, I want it fresh, man. I want it fresh.
You're just gonna have to fly him out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I thought about
He could be with your team, that extra person.
it. Shoot.
So let's talk about the fight with Gustavo Lopez. When did this come together, and what intrigues you the most about his style and the puzzle you want to solve in him as an opponent?
Man, this came together back in November. It was actually like a day before I got called out by that dude Nathan Maness or Nate
Mm.
Maness or something. Uh, you know, I was so gun ho and ready to like because I completely forgot about that. I signed the fight literally the Friday. Friday I signed the fight, and the next thing you know, I'm getting called out on Saturday. Whenever I was having like my birthday party, like it was like a birthday get together, not a birthday party, but it was a birthday get together, having a good
Mm.
time, having a fun time with my family and everything. And next thing you know, I get called out. I'm looking at the TV. Like I heard my name. What's going on? And then next thing you know, my manager texted me. He's like, "Hey, you just got called out." And I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm game 100%." And then we started talking a little bit more, and he was like, "Yeah, but you already signed that Gustavo fight yesterday." I was like, "All right." But to me, it was kind of like one of those. It was one of those. Man, I really wanted to. I really want to fight Nate Maness. Like maybe I get that fight right after this one. But honestly, I think Gustavo's the tougher fight. If
Mhm.
I'm being 100% honest,
Yeah.
because he's already fought a top 15 guy, went 3 rounds with him on a 6 days notice. Nate, honestly, with how he looked against Luke Sanders, I saw a little bit of flatness, and that's why I was so gun ho to take that fight because I was like, whoa, look, easy dub. But to me, he didn't really impress me in that fight. And then honestly, right now I'm like way more impressed with Gustavo Lopez, man. He
Mhm.
took on Marab in 6 days notice, the top 15 guy right now, and went all 3 rounds with him. And he's a dog, man. He's a fighter, and he's one of those guys that like, hey, like if you push him, he's gonna push back. And that's what intrigues me the most about him is that
Mhm.
he doesn't quit. Like whenever he fought Jose Alday back in the day, he got dropped he got dropped in that fight, and he got dropped again. I think it was like 2 times, but dude, he kept getting back up and kept on pushing forward and fighting, trying to get a takedown, trying to land some blows, man. So to me, looking at that, I was like, man, he's tough. He could get down and gritty. Skill for skill, I definitely think I'm the better fighter. Like hands down to me. But sometimes being the better skilled fighter isn't everything. So I want to go in there and like see if he can take my punches. I want to be able to go 3 rounds with him and see who has the bigger grit. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go grit for grit. Skill for skill. I know I beat him, but grit for grit is another thing that I'd like to go out there and I already showed that I got finesse. I already showed that I got the KO power. Now just for me, I'm hoping we can get to that point where I can show what type of grit I have. And the guy definitely is one of those type of fighters where he's a gritty fighter, especially when he needs to. His last fight with Anthony Burchak, he kind of made that look really easy.
Mm-hmm.
But that top 15 guy Marab, he gave him hell. He went all 3 with him. So to me, I'm just ready. I'm mentally ready. I'm physically ready, and I'm just ready to get in there. Like if I can just fight him tomorrow, that'd be amazing for me, man. So like I'm just ready to go.
2 more weeks around the corner. Well, you mentioned the Marab in that fight, and yes, it was a short notice fight, but wouldn't this be even a bigger statement of the division? You go out there and you stop him. Both of you guys, of course, are coming off highlight reel finishes in your last fight. Is that exactly what you're looking to do? Make that statement? Because Marab has obviously been touted right now, coming out of the camp and his style. So wouldn't that be a big statement for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been looking at that because man, if I stopped Gustavo, I did something the guy in the top 15 couldn't do to him.
Mm-hmm.
So that just solidifies me in the UFC and my place in the UFC. Because to me, I still feel like I have to make my place. I still have to make a statement and mark my spot in the UFC. Because I'm still the new kid on the block. I'm still that guy. Like I can still it's one of those things that I can still go 1-2 and get cut. I can still go. I can go 2-2 and get cut.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still that person that if one thing goes wrong, I'm out of here. So I got to make sure I'm making statements. I got to make sure that I'm putting on better performances every single time I step in there, and stepping in there against Gustavo Lopez, I have to do that. I have to make sure I'm on my A game. I have to make sure that he knows he's locked in there with me, and I'm gonna show that March 20th whenever I step in that cage. He's gonna look across the cage and be like, "Fuck, I got this guy."
Mm-hmm.
So, and then once I finish him, man, it's gonna be one of those things that, hey, look, I'm here to stay. I'm not here just for a quick first contract. I'm here for many more. I'm here for four or 5+ contracts. So that's my mentality towards this. I don't want to just be that one and done type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I want the career long UFC run, and that's what I'm aiming for. And Gustavo Lopez, especially if I go in there and I start him in the first round, second round, I go out there and do something that Marab didn't do. So I'd be looking forward to it. I can't wait to make this statement.
Now, this might be an obvious answer, but are you expecting, though, possibly a war? He seems like he likes to stand in the pocket, too. We've seen in his past fights. Good scrambler as well. Are you expecting a battle right from the get-go?
Oh yeah, I'm expecting a battle. I think he's going to want to come in and take charge immediately. But here's the thing: is he's going to want to take charge, and he's going to be like a raging little bull, and I'm going to be the matador, and I'm going to show him exactly who's the boss in the ring, who got the ring control and everything. I know I fought better fighters. I know for a fact I fought better fighters. I fought better wrestlers. I fought better strikers, and I don't think he poses any problems that I haven't seen yet. And he does have power in his hands, but at this stage of the game, who doesn't have power? So to me, I'm just ready. I'm ready to go out there and show the world that I belong here in the UFC. I'm ready to go out there and show that like all those top 15 guys and be like, hey, look, there's a new kid on this block, and you got to go out there and fight him. I'm that freshman coming in, and that freshman got that's a feisty right hand. So if you want to mess with him, be cautious, be aware, because I'm coming for everybody.
Well, I want to talk about another aspect of your game, because after our last episode, and congratulations again, you were awarded your black belt. Is that another area of the puzzle you would like to possibly see on the ground and get to showcase that? We've seen your knockouts as well. Would you like to show that grappling side as too?
Oh man, it would be great to show it off, man. But man, I'm gonna keep that a secret. I want to keep it in my back
Yeah.
pocket, man. I've been like a lot of people don't know, but I started jiu-jitsu way before I started striking. So,
Mm.
man, like it's just one of those things that, man, like, hey, if it's a secret, I'm gonna keep it a secret. You know, pull it out whenever it needs to be pulled out. But, man, I like if he wants to wrestle with me, then fine. I'm up for it. I fought better wrestlers for damn sure. I fought better wrestlers. So like to me, I'm just like, what are you gonna pose? What skill set are you gonna oppose to me that I haven't already seen and haven't dealt with? So like me and shoot, I don't mind going for a submission, man, but I there's just something I love about knockouts, man. I just love something about knockouts. And then like you, especially when you hit them with the one hitter quitter and they just drop, you know, you get to like you can do the walk off. To me, that's like amazing. That's great. So I'm like, if I'm able to hit that one hitter quitter and just like put him out and walk around, can do the Conor McGregor, hey, give me some money dance, you know. So that's what I would want to do.
Well, and you had that in your last fight as well with that head kick, and once again, what a flawless head kick right there, and how amped you were in that, and what a way to make a debut. And now in your second fight, a guy who equally pushes that pace. So this has got to definitely be fireworks. And do you feel like that momentum coming in? You know, we just saw Derek Lewis, another Historian, pick up a vicious knockout in his fight a couple weeks ago. So do you feel that momentum coming in?
Oh yeah, man. I've never really stopped feeling any type of
Yeah.
momentum. I've been on a roll since after my last split decision loss, man. I came up with a fire under my ass, and I was like, I got to get to going because if there's any time to go, it's definitely now. I was like, I gotta go, man. I'm this close, and I can't let it slip out from underneath me. So
Mhm.
after that last split decision loss, I just been like grinding and just like pushing myself really really hard because I know I belonged here. So once I got here and I started having these spectacular finishes, like the contender series finish and then this last one, I was like, I'm right now I'm feeling really untouchable, and I really want to go out there and keep showing that I am untouchable. So I'm training super hard just so I can be able to put on these performances. And March 20th, whenever I step in that cage with Gustavo Lopez, man, I'm like, you're gonna see me tuned up and fine and ready to go. And whenever I stop him, man, it's to me it won't be a surprise, but to everybody else it might be a surprise, but to me it won't be.
Now, not looking past Gustavo, but we did see UFC President Dana White mention that he wants to come back to Texas and put on, a stadium type shows. How do you feel about that? And, how active do you want to be this year?
Sign me up, man. Sign me up today. Man, I'm I'm ready to go on that Kevin Holland type of streak, man. Kevin
Yeah.
Holland type of streak, fight every other weekend if I could. I would say Hamzat, but he only had 3 fights last year, and then but if you look at Kevin Holland, he had like 5 or 6. I think he had 6, I believe. But yeah, I want that type of activity, man, because you know if I'm able to get 6 fights within a year, then that puts me in the top 15 very, very quickly. And so I would like to be there. So, at, but also at the same time, I'd like to pace myself. So maybe 6 fights
Mm.
is way too much, but I would do 4. So I'd like to be fairly active, man, fairly active, just because, man, like a lot of times whenever I was in the regional circuit, there was points in times where I was only able to fight 2 times a year, and for me that kind of sucked. I wanted to fight more often. Now I'm in the position where I'm able to do that. So now, hey, look, for me, it's even a lot better. So I would love to be as active as I can be, because man, especially it's one of those things that if I'm not in these people's faces, not fighting, people will sit there and forget about you. And right now, like coming off that knockout against Victor Rodriguez on that Hall versus Silva card. For me, I'm riding high. Go out there March 20th, ride high again. Just keep flowing, keep moving, and just keep that same pace.
You mentioned Kevin Holland and the regional scene. Just also talk about you guys were all on kind of the same path and journey coming into the UFC. You're part of that era here in Texas. Talk about that and how all of you guys now are in the UFC. Some are in your division as well. Just talk about the Texas fight scene and these guys that you've shared this adventure with, this journey now, and you're all here.
Shoot, man, it's been honestly, man, Texas is super underrated. Texas is super underrated, and I get tired of the people being like California's the mecca of MMA, and like no, not really, not anymore, man. Like Texas, we got our own fighters, man. We got like some hard hitters going out there. Like you got Derek Lewis, you got Kevin Holland, man. Guys in my division like Miles Johns out there going out there and killing it. Chris Gutierrez, I think he was from here in Texas, so he's out there in Colorado, making names. So and then you still got like these guys like Charlie Oliveira, even though he fought Kevin Holland on short week's notice. But I don't think it would have differed in anything. I think Kevin Holland's just that much of a beast. But we got Alex Morano and then all those guys that with Saif over there at Fortis MMA. You got all those killers up there, man. We got killers down here too, and then Jacob Silva and Leomano Martinez here at the gym I'm at, and we got up and comers too, man. I'm telling you, man, that they speak of California like, hey, it's the mecca of MMA, but I'm telling you right now, Texas is about to become the new staple, man. Texas is about to make its name. Is about to make it's going to make an exclamation point here real soon. Whenever we're knocking everybody out in the world.
Why do you think it took a little slow progression for it to, because when you look at boxing and the history there in Houston and you have Baby Bull, Juan Diaz and a lot of great fighters in boxing come out of Texas, but why do you feel like it took so long for MMA to really get there? And of course now it's just, as you said, it's just risen so much.
And I really wouldn't be able to attribute anything to that. I think it was kind of a hard thing, especially kind of growing up. I think it was just one of those things that like back in the day, I believe the Gracies kind of just stuck to California, like stuck to the bigger cities, and Houston, Dallas, they weren't as big as cities back then back in the day, especially like 20 years ago. Everybody was talking about LA, New York, and Florida, all these other places except for Texas. So I think that kind of has to do with something, a part of it. And then nowadays, like that, it's able to be a little bit more. There's a lot more fights going on. Definitely now more than ever, because now you're getting fighters that branched out, making their own gyms. You got these people who tried fighting but are better coaches and able to branch out and be able to make their own gyms and be able to have these promotions pop up. Like Eric Garcia, he was he's the Fury Fighting Championship. He's the promoter, he's the owner. He was a former fighter himself. He was amateur, then went pro, and then next thing you know, he's like, he wanted to make a place where fighters can go out there and fight, and especially Texas fighters, because man, like some of these promotions like Legacy, they turned into LFA, and now they're going to different spots. Their Legacy Fighting Championship was based in Texas, but once it merged with
RFA,
once they merged with them, they kind of dispersed and really didn't hit Texas as much. And we have Fury coming in and taking that role and taking that spot and being able to put other fighters on that card. And you have all these other smaller promotions too. I think it's called XKO.
Yeah, XKO here in Dallas. Yeah.
XKO. You got a lot of those promotions popping up and being able to put on fights. So to me, like those smaller promotions being able to run and function and being able to put on fights is definitely going to produce a lot of talent. So to me, like Texas, it was kind of like a slow start, but now it's starting to speed up because we got a lot of guys out there who are athletic, who have good talent, who are scrappers and ready to fight. And you're seeing that now. Like you're starting to see the progression now. You got how many Texas fighters does the UFC have now? So we have a lot, and
it's a good amount. A good amount compared in the past. There was just a handful, I believe. I remember when it was just Travis Lutter pretty much was the guy a long time ago. Of course, Guy Metzger, Trey Tilleman, but it was really Travis Lutter was the Dallas representative right there, and then Melvin Gillard I think bounced around between Houston and New Orleans a little bit.
Yeah. He tossed back and forth between Houston. He would train with my coach at times, Saul Solis, and also had Carlo Prater for a second.
Yeah.
And I know there's just a lot of guys coming in and out. You got the old legend Pete Spratt
Oh
too.
yes, Pete
Yeah,
Spratt, San Antonio. Yeah, the
yeah, San
Muay Thai.
Antonio, man.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like one of those things that I'm glad that it's finally like coming together, especially man, because uh, Texas is underrated. Texas is highly underrated in my opinion, uh, and when we get the chance to show it, man, I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait.
And does your gym have a youth program?
We as of right now is we used to have a youth program whenever we had the old gym
Yeah.
around last year. But due to COVID, like the
Yeah.
gym shut down and kind of dismantled everything, and we ended up kind of like joining forces with this gym called O Athletics.
Okay.
O Athletic was ran by Adrian Peterson, the NFL star. Uh, Pretty much like joined forces now. Like the Metro Fight Club is underneath O Athletics, and my coach Salsa is running the MMA program. Because right now, like it's just kind of just like it's still building. We're still in the building process because due to COVID, you're not able to open up the gyms fully 100% yet and
Yeah.
everything. And so it's still kind of like in that weird, like wild spot where we don't know exactly what's going to go.
Hopefully by summer. Hopefully by summer we
Oh yeah,
can.
so we're hoping for something soon, but we do have like a MMA program where we got like a lot of like we got a couple of like teenagers coming in
Mm.
wanting to train with the pros and amateurs. So hopefully you're seeing a couple of those guys coming up pretty soon. One guy who I'm really like kind of got my eyes on, like one of my training partners, his name's Cameron Smotherman. He's gonna be fighting on Fury Sunday. That kid has a lot of talent, really has a lot of talent. He's only been doing it for like I would say about 3 4 years, like 3 or 4 years, and he's been training with us for yeah about 3 years because he came like I think I fought Miles Johns back in 2018. He came right at the tail end of that training camp, and he came in, and I remember seeing how good he got. So, man, the level of most of these guys who are coming in and like being able to like apply a lot of their skills and put their like all their time into training, you can see how much better they get. So he's one of those guys that I'm really looking forward to seeing how he performs and everything because I think that guy is like that type. This is like is a type of future in MMA. So and then there's like a lot of these other kids that you start seeing like I remember back whenever I at the old gym I remember seeing a lot of these kids that I was teaching and just seeing how old they are now and I'm just like dang
Time's
like
flown.
and it's crazy because you're just like man it's like especially like one kid he was in there for like 4 years stops comes back in and he's like he's a beast and you're just like damn damn, like you got good. So it's really cool. It's really cool to see the growth and progression of a lot of these young and up and comers, man. So it's like I like watching it, man. I like seeing the progression of like MMA just in general because like nowadays, man, I feel like if you throw me back in the 2011 bantamweight division, like I
Yeah.
feel like I'm champion,
Yeah.
like hands down champion. I think anybody like in the top 15 would be champion, be a long reigning champion. So, but nowadays it's just like you're just another guy who's really really good in the UFC. So, it's you can see the progression. It's like
Mm.
it's really cool to look at. There's no other way I can explain it. It's just really cool to look at.
Do you have any advice for those young up and comers that you've been in those shoes before? You've been trying, entering in the sport. Where am I going? So what's been your advice for them?
Man, honestly, I tell a lot of these guys, like like my training partner Cameron,
Mm.
he's going pro. This is his first pro, and I was talking to him, and he was like saying he's like, man, I'm a little bit nervous. He's going pro. He's like, man, at the beginning of the week he's a little bit nervous, and I was just talking to him. I was like, I said, dude, it's like, look, man, just trust the process, man. This is a
Mm.
process. This is a whole entire process. You're only gonna get one of these but at the same time, it's no different than any other walk you've made.
Mm.
Like, especially if you fought as an amateur, the only difference is now you're getting some money. It's like you used to do it for free and you weren't scared doing it for free. Why are you scared doing it for money? You're getting paid to do it at least. It was like, man, if you used to do this, if you're doing this for free, then like Like honestly, I'd be a little bit more scared because like, why am I doing this? I'm not getting anything out of this. But now that you're getting paid, it's like, dude, you're doing it, and you've like I one thing that I tell a lot of people is like, dude, trust the process.
Hmm.
Don't rush yourself, because rushing yourself, man, like you see a lot in the UFC. These guys who go in there, they kind of have like a little bit of a 4-0, 5-0. Sometimes they get a patterned record of 8, 9-0, and then they go on a 3-fight losing streak, and now they lost their chance of being in the UFC. Of course, you can go on a 5-fight win streak, put yourself back into contention to being in the UFC, but as soon as you go back into the UFC, you still have that aura of being 0-3 in the
Yeah.
UFC. So I tell you guys, look, just you don't need a rush. If you're young, especially if you're 19 and you're a pro, I was like, take your time.
Yeah.
Don't rush it. Don't rush it. I remember going boxing at Lou Alvarez's gym back in the day. I was an amateur. I was making my first cut to 135. And I was like so gun ho. I was like, yeah. I was like, after this fight, I want to go pro. Want to go pro. And I was like, yeah. So I was thinking about it, and I was telling him this, and he was like, he's like, wait, how old are you? And I was like, 19. He looks at me, he's like, yeah, you're young. Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time. And I was like, what do you mean take my time? I want to
I want to
go.
go now.
I'm ready to go now. And honestly, it's like I probably could have waited another fight as an
Yeah.
amateur, but at the same time, I think everything that I've done in my career, is one of those like I needed, like I needed to take these fights at a certain
Hmm.
time, and I think every loss has its lesson, and I try to push those lessons that I have in every single time, like my loss, like I tell Cameron, I was like, dude, like look at everybody else and see what they've done wrong
Yeah.
and learn from it. You don't have to make the mistake. You can learn that mistake from them. Like you don't have to physically make that mistake. You learn from their mistakes. And that's one thing I was like, dude, I'll tell you like this, is like I've made my mistakes, and let me tell you what my mistakes were. You can do it this way. And a lot of these other guys, like right now, like a lot of these guys were cutting weight, and they were cutting weight a little bit too early. I'm like, hey, dude, slow it down, man. Don't dehydrate. Don't kill yourself right now, dude. You can do it a little bit later. It's like you kind of need to relax, need to stop. Don't kill yourself. Don't run 5 miles, dude. You're like 2 days away from weighing in. Don't like deplete all your energy. Don't run 5 miles at like a 6 mile pace. So like 6 minute pace. I was like, take your time. You have nothing but time. Don't worry. It's gonna be able to come off. Like, don't freak yourself out. I was like, you freaking yourself out just is gonna make everything worse. So, I try to give advice every now and again, here and there. If they ask for it, I'm gonna tell our book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell our book. But if I see someone struggling with something, I'll go out there and like I'll give them a little something, see if they bite, and if they don't, then I'm just like, all right, cool, all right. I'm not touching. So, uh, but luckily, I have we have a good group of guys who like if you need advice, like if I need advice, sometimes I'll ask one of my training partners like what they do or what's going on, like what I need to do better, what do you see that I could do better? So, and they let me know, and then also like they ask me what can I do better, I let them know. So it's a good back and forth. And then also if I ever like need to like absolutely just like need to like talk to somebody, like my coach has always been there 100%, and I can always ask him for advice, whatever I need. So like I got the right group of people around me, and like the head coach is like one of those guys who's like been through it all. Like Saul Solis, he's been in the game for over 25 years. He's actually promoted fights himself.
Yeah.
And
Renegades back in
yes,
the day. Yeah.
so like he's one of those guys that I'm able to like just talk to, and he'd be able to like, all right, cool. Like he gets a good sense of people. So any advice I need, I can go straight to him.
Now, you mentioned LFC. We have Thomas Almeida coming up against Sean O'Malley. What do you think about that, since that's right in your division?
Oh man, man, it's one of those fights that I'm kind of just like, I don't like it for Thomas Almeida. I
Hmm.
like him as a fighter, but I kind of don't like it in this fight, because I feel like he's more of a straightforward and straight back fighter. And against Sean O'Malley, you can't really do that. Uh, and I'm kind of hoping he comes out with Like I know we haven't seen him in a minute. I would like to see a new like fire lit under his ass, especially Sean O'Malley coming out after a loss. You know, he got stopped in his last fight. You know, it's only riding up for you. Like, so I'd be using this to kind of like put into motion. Like, hey, he's put him in a bad position, make him already think negatively. So whenever you do that, you get in a bad position. It all goes downhill for him. See where his mindset's at, and then I think that's where Thomas for me, Thomas would need to put it on him. Like he got knocked out in his last fight. He got knocked out in his last fight. He needs to go in there and like kind of remind him, hey, I can knock you out too, and put that like make Sean O'Malley think a lot because as of right now, you can kind of see a little bit of how can I say it? It's like denial from Sean O'Malley about his loss. So if you can kind of just put that back in his face a little bit and like kind of like, hey, let me throw this leg kick, see what he thinks about it, see if it like puts him back in those memories and see what happens. It would go really good for Thomas Almeida. But if he comes in and he's a little bit shy, he's gonna get eaten up because dude, Sean O'Malley is a tough out and he's one of those guys. If you let him get in his range, it's a tough night for anybody. So Thomas Almeida needs to go in there and like put a stamp, especially in the first 30 seconds to a minute.
Well, and Thomas has been in Sean's shoes before. Thomas was the undefeated force coming in up until he ran into Cody Garman, which they were both undefeated. And Sean O'Malley's kind of had that same wave, you know, coming in from LFA, you know, Contender Series undefeated. And then, of course, now runs into Cheeto. So it's kind of like Thomas has been there, so he kind of sees where, hey, how can I can come in and kind of break this guy. Like I've been there, I know where that mindset is at. But at the same time, this is going to be a huge like, what is Sean going to do? I mean, you know, he may be in denial of that loss, but a loss is still a loss. So how can he rebound and get back?
Yeah. So I know like being from Houston and seeing how like Thomas is like raised, like he coming from legacy. I remember being in the stands watching that guy fight. So to me, like I want to see him do good. I want to see him do good, and I kind of hope he knocks Sean O'Malley out just because it's one of those things that whenever I saw Holly Holm knock out that girl with the head kick, like it went viral, went everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I was live at that event, so I remember being there. So and I remember being there whenever I saw Thomas Almeida fighting these guys.
Yeah.
So it'd be pretty cool just to see that. So that I would like Thomas Almeida to get the win and start Sean O'Malley.
And finally, the week after your fight is Stipe Francis Ngannou, the rematch. How does that one go down?
Man, that's a tough one. Francis got that equalizer. The power. He can shut everything out with just one punch. But we also thought that whenever he first fought Stipe, I don't know. I feel like everybody's starting to write off Stipe again, man. Everybody's starting to write him off, and it's one of those things that when you kind of see that little story going on, and it's kind of just like, to me, like it's how can I say it? It's like I feel like Stipe is gonna do it again. I feel like he's gonna do it again. He's gonna ride him out. He's gonna get it done. That's just me because like, Stipe has been like the underdog. He gets no respect as a champion.
Every fight, even as the champion.
Point where I'm like I love Francis Ngannou. I love his story. I love everything. I heard him on the Joe Rogan podcast, and that made me love him so much more. And I was just like thinking about it. I was like, damn, dude. Like Stipe is getting written off again. I hate this. He's the champ. He's already finished so many times. This is annoying. Like, come on, man. Like, what's going on here? So I think Stipe is going to come out like he has something to prove. And man, honestly, if he comes in great shape, it's going to be another Francis Stipe 1. And I think Stipe gets the finish this time.
Well, and with Francis, it's always weathering that power. And we still haven't seen Francis go the full 25 minutes, which, with his style is very not surprising, but we know Stipe can, and we know he can get in those grueling fights, which we just saw again with DC, and he knows how to adapt, and he knows how to adjust, and he knows how to work that body. So that's all going to be intriguing to see how far Francis has really progressed.
Oh yeah, especially because nobody else is really putting him against the fence or that, and no one's really put him in the positions that Stipe was able to put him in. Like everybody feels like it's just rejuvenated Francis Ngannou, but it's kind of like more of like he was doing that to people before he fought Stipe.
Mm-hmm.
How much better has he really gotten? I know people can go out there and say like, well, we heard rumors of him doing this in training camp. Yeah, I was like, yeah, but that's in training camp. I was
Yeah.
like, but in a fight, it's like, but in a fight, that's completely different. It's like, is he gonna resort back to the stuff that he was doing before? Like, as soon as he puts him in that position, he's like, oh, like I've been drilling this, but I feel comfortable doing this. Like I'm not in danger. He gets that soft ride. Stipe puts him in the single or the double and takes him down. And then he starts like just staying there because he's like, oh well, I'm in no danger right now, and you don't know what he's gonna do. You don't know
Yeah.
if he's fixed those problems at all because he's just been starching these guys.
Yeah, I know, very true. And of course, waiting in the wings, we know now John Jones, it looks like he's going to be next in line for whoever wins this fight. So big fight either way. And that's another guy who is big, knows how to wrestle, knows how to put that range coming into this division. So that's very intriguing. But yeah, you can't definitely count out Stipe. And obviously, you can't count out Francis's power. I'm excited. I'm always more intrigued by the rematch than always the first fight, just because of those changes and those details. So this will
Oh
be
yeah,
fun.
oh yeah, absolutely. I'm really tuned into this fight, especially like because I started seeing the odds, and I started seeing that they made Stipe the underdog once again. And I'm just like, I was like, dude, can you put some respect on his name? Dude, you saw what he did to him the first time. I was like, what other fight did Francis have? He had that sleeper with Derek Lewis, and then
Yeah.
after that,
And then beat Kane. And
and that one when he caught him when he was coming in. Then he fought Curtis Blades, but Curtis Blades kind of just stuck out there a little bit too long. Well, like kind of was just like coming in and out, didn't really cut no angles. Stipe doesn't really come
yeah.
forward. Not not always. He comes at different angles. Like he slips in, he slips a punch and comes in. Slips something comes in. So it's never just directly in like how Curtis Blades kind of came in. And then he did that to Rosenstruck, and then his last fight, who did he put to sleep? He put to sleep somebody else, not Rosenstruck, but it was somebody else, right?
He put together I know he beat DeSantos as well. JDS. He's beaten JDS. I know it was Blades. It might have been Blades. Rosenstruck might have been the last one last May.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a gap because we've been waiting to see how the Stipe and DC fight, which happened in August. So a little bit more time for both guys to rest and reassess.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Then that I think that's what it was. I think
It doesn't feel like that long ago. I can't
yeah, it
believe
doesn't.
that card was a year ago, almost a year
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. That seems way more crazy to me, especially with everything that kind of went on, like the whole COVID situation.
Yeah.
Just kind of just like it just feels like we all lost a year for some
Yeah,
reason.
it does. I mean, time just flew by so fast, but I'm still excited we're having these talks and MMA is going on and more of it. And hopefully we'll get to see more shows open up here in Texas and of course see the UFC. Well, Adrian, I want to thank you again for, taking this time again to come on the podcast and chat. Best of luck to you and anything you want to say before we go.
Oh man, I just want to say thank you to HK USA. They supplied me with all my training gear for my training camp, and they made me some custom gloves. By far the best gloves I have. Like I love those things. Like that. They even put my own little logo on there. My own logo on there. I've been having a blast. They made it white and gold, and dude, like they just look really cool, man. I love them. Those are my favorite gloves. Also, big shout out to my coach Salsa Leash. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in this position that I am today. So big thank you. And then also, man, I just thank you for having me on this podcast. Big shout out to Iridium Sports Agency. they're just wonderful, great management team, man. They're great people, great people. Jason House and all of them, man. They're just amazing.
Well, thank you again, man. I hope you get to enjoy some Mike's seafood after the fight. Enjoy some of that bacon shrimp for me. Have extra.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I'm gonna get fat. I'm gonna miss weight for the next fight.
I gotta come down there. I gotta come down there and check out Mike's because I love to eat. It's been a while since I've been to Houston, so
yeah, especially with everything opening up, man. So
yeah.
Hey, be good.
Well, thank you again, man. You have a good evening.
All right, thank you, man. Have a good one.